Guys, quick reminder just in case you haven't listened to episode 138. I am taking a break right now to focus on my daughter's healing, and in between, I'm going to be cultivating some dope ass interviews and content to bring to you guys for season two. So, in the meantime, check out these re releases.
Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, a safe and sacred place to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be authentic. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. From the deep pain and loss of my best friend Gloria, I realized she gave me the greatest gift ever, remembering my purpose in life, which is to help connect you to your authentic self, guide you to remember your purpose, and remind you that your current circumstance doesn't define who you are. Join me as we heal, align, and glow together. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. For those of you who are new around here, welcome. What's up? This is a safe and sacred place for you to receive what your soul needs. Receive what your soul needs to hear in this present moment. So just take it in. So quick announcement. If you've been wanting to work with me in person, guess what? I'm going to be in a couple of areas in the next couple of months. So December 11th through the 14th, I'm going to be in Tampa, Florida, doing a VIP day with a client. And I opened up some time slots to do some one-on-one sessions. And December 18th and the 19th, the 27th and the 28th, I will be in Richmond, Virginia, and I will be doing mini VIP day sessions there. And this is more of just like guiding you into realignment as we head into 2021. You're going to get a 30-minute pre-clarity call. You're going to get a self-care kit. And you're going to get 3 hours where we just like deep dive into your soul and really just get those breakthroughs, right? And in January, I'm going to be in Texas and I'm doing a VIP day for 2 clients there. And I've opened up some slots to do some mini VIP days. So if you want to grab a spot, message me on Instagram at Mindset Slayer, or you can send me an email to tisha@healalignandglow.com and just let me know what location and I will send you the information for that location. So while a majority of my business is virtual and it was virtual before COVID, I do know that there's some people who are like, I want to do this, I want to work with you, but I don't want to do it over the phone. And that's okay. I get it. I was like that at first too. I get it. But I do know that energy is energy and we can vibe and we can connect whether we're on the phone, FaceTime, or in person. But again, I'm going to be in Richmond, I'm going to be in Tampa, and I'm going to be in Texas, between December and January. So I would love to connect and work with you guys. So again, just send me a message on @MindsetSlayer or to tisha@healalignandglow.com and we can just go from there. All right. So gratitude time. Let's go. Right. So at the time of you guys listening to this, happy Turkey Day, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, happy gratitude time. Right. So in this present moment, I am grateful for me. I'm grateful for myself. Right. If you've ever had some, long conversations with me, you may have heard me say, I'm over this lifetime. I mean, this is not that I'm over it, but this is going to be my last time incarnating on Earth. I don't want to come back as a human. If I do have to come back, send me to another planet or something. But, when I say all that, just to be saying it, but in actuality, I'm so grateful to be myself. I am so grateful to be here. I am so grateful for the experiences that I've had. I'm grateful for the heartache that I received because there was always a blessing or something in there. And I'm just grateful to just really just be me. I'm grateful to be me. So now your time, guys. What are you grateful for? In this present moment, what are you grateful for? But before you express that gratitude, I do want you to go ahead and get centered. So unless you were driving, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. And now I want you guys to take a nice deep breath in. You're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Again, nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. One more, but let's take a nice long deep breath. Just breathing in through your nose Again, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. And just slowly, gently just release that in your mouth. Yes, yes. Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't that feel good? Honestly, if we just stop, and you're going to always hear me say this till I'm blue. If you just stop and take some nice, long, deep breaths, it's going to center you. It's going to get you back connected to yourself, which is just pure love, right? And just feels good. So in this present moment, guys, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? You can pause this and you can journal. You can say it out loud. You can say it in your head. You can pick one thing. You can pick 10 things. Just get that gratitude out. Also, like, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving, right? I'd love for you to just, like, message me on Instagram and let me know, how did your Thanksgiving go? I know we got this COVID, so a lot of people aren't traveling. A lot of people aren't having, like, big gatherings. Some people are like, screw this shit, let's go. This is what we do every year, whatever. No judgment on either side. Just, how did you spend your Thanksgiving, right? Also, if maybe you are missing a loved one, and this time of season is really hard on you, I just want to send you some love. Seriously, let you know that I'm holding space for you. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you just like healing vibes. Maybe you lost someone from COVID, right? Or maybe this is like that one time of the year that everybody gets to travel from wherever and come together, and you're not able to because of the COVID restrictions, and it's really hard on you, right? And while we can have Thanksgiving any day that we want and have family over and a big dinner whenever we want, let's just be, real. That's when people have time off from work. And some people aren't just able to just pick up and take time off, but their company is closed and they get that time off and it's paid. And they use that so that way they can be with their loved ones all together and share good conversation or drink and just have food and just vibe off of that energy. And I know a lot of people aren't able to do that. And it's really sad, and it's really like depressing for many. So I just want to let you know that I am holding space for you, and I'm sending you so much love and energy. And I also want you to know the way that you are feeling now, just always remember that it's temporary. That feeling is temporary, and you will be able to get through this, right? And again, I'm holding space for you guys, right? So, all right, today I wanted to, question time. So the question that I have for you is, what's your happily ever after? What is that? What does that look like, right? What is that, right? So of course, these conversations that I have over here on Seeing With Your Soul are always sparked from something, and I get that aha moment, right? So currently I am binging Grey's Anatomy, right? Where my Grey's Anatomy people at? Let me know. I've seen, episodes and stuff before. I just never finished it, and never went hard at it for whatever reason. I just didn't. But if something was like, I want to, go start Grey's Anatomy from the beginning. So I did. And I knew I love to just, quick thing is probably like, who cares about this? But whatever. I love to binge watch shows. I love to just be able to just go through, especially at nighttime. It is a way that I end up winding down. A lot of times, like most of my day is spent on the phone. It's working with people, and sometimes it's really heavy depending on what their trauma that they have, and it's really heavy. So, and then I have my own personal things going on, and I like to just get lost in TV. Right. So I'll, shower and dinner and all that stuff, and I'll wind down maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I'll just get in the bed and I'll just watch Grey's Anatomy. And this goes on to probably about 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Right. And I was watching something prior to starting Grey's Anatomy, and the show that I was watching, there was like 2 or 3 characters on there, got into a relationship. It was so nice and just cute and just magical and and then the guy died. And I'm like, what? This is just stupid, right? So then I get into Grey's Anatomy, and then something happens, and there's a couple of different scenes. And the one last scene really hit me, and I said, I'm talking to myself, and I said, you see, this is what I'm talking about. There's no such thing as a happily ever after. And when I said it out loud, it gave me this jolt. And I paused it and I said, what did you say? And guys, I have these conversations with myself. I used to, people used to say, oh, it's okay to talk to yourself as long as you don't talk back. Bullshit now. I talk to myself and I talk back. Like, what's up? Right? So I was like, what did you say? And I was like, this is what I mean. There's no such thing as happily ever after. And in that moment, I realized I have a deep belief. And there's a belief that's inside of me that believes that there's no happily ever after. So why bother? Why bother? Why go through this? And why get in a relationship? Everything can just be great. And then something tragic happens, right? So while I'm not consciously thinking about that, there is that belief that is there, that believes there's no happily ever after. And when you have a deep belief there, you operate from that place. So I can tell you, I used to get readings, right? And if I would, especially in the beginning of my awakening, like I would get readings or I would pull a card, and anytime they would say anything about a relationship, I'd roll my eyes, I'd bypass that. Oh, that message is not for me. That's not resonating, any of that. So I wanted nothing to do with that, right? I was like, no, let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Like, where's my path? What's my purpose, right? But relationship, please, that's the least of my concerns, my worries, whatever you want to call it, right? So back to the show, right? So it has me, it's uncovering a belief that I have, right? So a lot of times we can pray, to God, the universe, our spirit guides, you just be talking or whatever, and you're asking for a sign or a message or to heal. And it comes in the most unexpected way, right? Because the universe will talk to us through people, through songs, through books, through freaking social media, a post or something, overhearing a conversation. And for me, it was because I was watching Grey's Anatomy. But while watching Grey's Anatomy, it's been a fucking emotional roller coaster, guys. Yes, and I have to curse. It's been crying and just boo-hooing and this, oh my God, this experience, right? And here it is, the universe slapping me in the face and saying, excuse me, ma'am, you got some fucking work to do, right? Because this bullshit ass belief that you have that there's no happily ever after makes no freaking sense. And what does that even mean? So I started asking myself, what does happily ever after mean anyway? So then you start to think about society, right? And, friends, family, and whatever. And it's the getting married and having children and having an amazing career, and having money in like the bank, and you grow old together, and you probably just never really argue with each other, and just life is great and you just live happily ever after. And then that doesn't happen. Look, I'm watching it on here. What's the chances? All these shows, everybody just dies. Everything is all great and then they just die or they just cheat. But they lose everything, right? There's no such thing as happily ever after. So, this is what I'm seeing, right? But when I'm having this conversation with myself, and then somebody's asking me, what does that even mean, right? So that's what I'm asking you guys. What is your happily ever after? Is it your happily ever after, or is it what your mom wants for you? Or is it what your dad wants for you? Or is it what society and your friends and everybody says, that this is what happily ever after looks like, and this is what you need in life in order to be happy and all this thing? What is that? What does that look like, right? So we fast forward on Grey's Anatomy. And for those of you who do watch Grey's Anatomy, do not spoil it for me. I'm only on season 11, and I think it's 17 seasons, and I heard it gets even crazier, but do not spoil it for me, okay? Anyhow, I am into the scene where Derek freaking dies, guys. Derek dies. Wait, what just happened? Oh my God, right? So for those of you who have never watched Grey's Anatomy, let me catch you up really quick on who Derek is. So the main person, which is Meredith Grey, Grey's Anatomy, gosh, Derek is her, what they call the McDreamy, and that's her guy. They end up meeting in a bar, and it's just interesting, intriguing, and they just have this one night stand, and they're just gonna got it out their system and go about their business, never see each other again. Well, she starts her first day as an intern, and guess who's the doctor there? Yes, the guy from the bar, Derek, right? So then there's that whole awkwardness, right? But in between there, she finds out that Derek is married. He's actually separated because his wife had cheated on him with his best friend, right? One of those things, right? cheated on him with his best friend. So he just dipped and was like, yo, I'm out. I'm done. I'm going to Seattle. Started over. Let's keep it moving. But, his wife was like, yeah, I fucked up and I want you back. So now he's kind of like torn what to do. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just try to make this work with my wife. But it doesn't. He's in love with Meredith. Meredith is also scared, right? So as, he pushes closer to her and wanting her and stuff, she is scared and she is pushing back. So how many of you guys listening can relate to that in a romantic sense, right? Like you're getting close and this is what you want and you've been praying for and you've been asking for it. But the closer you get to it, the further away you pull yourself because you're afraid. You're afraid that there's no happily ever after. This is too good to be true, right? And it doesn't even have to be in a relationship. It could be like, you could be one of those people who aren't afraid to fail. You're actually afraid of success because you want this. You don't want to struggle anymore, right? You don't want to struggle anymore. You don't want to be in survival mode. You want to be in fucking thriving and you are just like living life like, let's go. Like, what's up, right? And you get close to having that opportunity and then you start to pull away because you're afraid. Well, why are you afraid? You're afraid that you're actually going to get the things that you want, the things that you desire, right? So in your mind, there's like, what you're saying is like, there's no happily ever after. So I'm not even going to entertain this. I may say that I want this, but I'm not going to really truly do anything to get there. I'm going to make excuses because I'm afraid. I'm afraid because what would my life look like if it didn't look like this? And you know what? That shit is scary. I've been there. That shit is scary because if this is all that you know, you buy into that as your identity. And that's your identity, and that's just what it is. And anything else looks scary, right? So I can relate with Meredith. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get this, and I'm feeling this, and it's strong, but let me just pull back. Well, they end up going through their own little drama and all that stuff, but they come back to each other. And they're back with each other. And Derek is like madly in love with her. And he's like, we should have some babies, right? And they experience their loss in that sense as well. But they have kids. They have kids, right? And they get married. He has a thriving career, right? He's a neurosurgeon and he loves to save lives is what he is passionate about. His work and saving the world. Like that is what he is passionate about. His family, his beautiful, his love of his life, his wife and his children and his work, right? And before he would have surgery, he would always say, it's a beautiful day to save lives. And it was like a huge thing for everyone, right? So his happily ever after, based off of when they show scenes going back, he's like, I want you. I want you as my wife. Check. He got the way. We need to have kids. Check. Right? He has great friends. Check. He has an amazing career. He's made history. He's saved so many lives. Check. Then he dies. He dies saving people's lives. He dies not even with his wife, in the sense in there. Oh, and in between there was a whole bunch of other drama that happened, plane, got shot, accident, all this other stuff, right? But they still made their way to each other, still alive. But then he dies. And it is the saddest fucking thing ever. And I am up, it is 1:45 in the morning, and I am bawling my eyes out. And that belief is still seeping up and saying, see, there's no such thing as happily ever after. Because they had made it through everything that they had made it through. And he dies? Why would you write that into the story? You're stupid. Shonda Rhimes, you're dumb. All those emotions and thoughts and everything are just going through, like, my mind. And it makes me look even deeper. And of course, they're playing this sad ass fucking song. So the song is called Chasing Cars, and Sleeping at Last did a cover of it. And that song was so powerful, but I'm gonna get into that in a second, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no such thing as happily ever after. This is just awful. This is just crazy. I don't even want to be in Meredith's shoes. I don't want to experience any of that. So I'm going to pause really quick and I'm going to go back to something. So this is also when I said that I was like, I don't want to come back here and incarnate into here. So another thing that I said was that if I decide and I end up, my soul incarnates here in another lifetime after I physically leave this one, right? I said, when I come back, I don't want to be married. I don't want to have any children. I don't want to have any best friends. I don't want to have any emotional attachments to anybody. I just want to just kick it and rock it throughout the world. And when I was telling somebody that, they was like, damn. I was like, I mean, I'm just telling you. And the reason why I was saying that was because I didn't want to experience hurt, right? I didn't want, so if I'm not close to anybody, I don't have to experience that pain that Meredith was experiencing. Yes, I'm watching the show Grey's Anatomy, but this happens in real life, right? It happens in real life. So it was because I didn't want to feel that pain, right? So what we end up doing is we end up saying there's no such thing as a happily ever after. So we may say that we want something or we desire and we're seeking this and we get close to it. So because we are waiting, what's that saying, for the other shoe to fall, we don't allow ourselves to truly get it. We don't allow ourselves to truly feel and experience it, because just for 1 second, what if we don't get it and we feel freaking awful? We don't want to feel like that. So we won't even actually achieve what it is that we want. So then you'll have a belief, such as myself in there, that there's no happily ever after. And my happily ever after was in a relationship status. That's what my happily ever after was. And that doesn't have to be into a romantic. It could be, just out of struggling. It could be in like a business. It could just be with like yourself, whatever. That's for you to really connect to see what's your happily ever after, right? So, okay. So back to this song that was playing. The song that was playing, like I said, is called Chasing Cars. And it's Sleeping at Last, did a cover of that song. So there was this line was really powerful to me. And it says, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we were told before we get too old. Show me a garden that's bursting into light. And that shit was so powerful. So you think about it. When you look at it in a romantic sense, right? Because this is when Derek was dying, right? And the lyric says, if I just lay here, will you lay with me and just forget the world, right? It's having that moment, right? Where you just separate from everything and everybody and you are just with that person that you love. You don't worry about the baggages that they come with, or the baggage that you come with, right? Or the obstacles or the past history with each other, right? Right? So you never really get to enjoy that moment, because your mind, even though it feels good and it's something you've been seeking, you've been wanting and desiring, you don't allow yourself to have it because you're still holding on to something else, right? So hearing like that song is saying, and just forget about the world, that's what we all need. For us to really truly understand what's our happily ever after, we need to disconnect. Now, again, this doesn't have to mean just in a relationship. It could just be you laying in that bed, you laying wherever, and forgetting about what the world says. Forget about the boxes that they say that you need to check. Forgetting about what your parents said, your mother, your father, your sister, your friends, whatever, TV, society, forgetting about all of that and just coming back to that place of like, what is my happily ever after? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Right? And then when you look at it and you step back from another perspective and you look at Derek and you look at Meredith. Meredith is fucking heartbroken. She has these kids and that's the love of her life and he is dead. And then you can look at it and say, what the fuck? I knew there was no such thing as happily ever after, but guess what? There was a happily ever after for Derek. Derek checked his boxes. Derek died doing what he loved, saving someone's life. Derek allowed himself to love. He didn't settle, right? He was going to work things out with his wife, but they know that they were both forcing something. They were trying to live someone else's happily ever after. It wasn't theirs. It's like, oh, let me just stick this out. Let me just try to make this work. When in their heart, they knew that it wasn't going to work. And he went after his happily ever after, which was Meredith. And he married her and they had kids. And again, he had a thriving career and he loved to save lives. And he died. But Derek died having his happily ever after. And then we look over at Meredith. But again, these happily ever afters and things in our life is all a matter of perspective. Because you can just sit there and say, yeah, there's no such thing as a happily ever after. Something fucking crazy always happens, right? But Derek got his happily ever after, right? And even though something tragic happens, it doesn't cancel out the things that happened before. Just kind of like when people are talking and they be like, da, 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 but I'm like, anytime you use that word but in that way, you cancel out the things before. You can say something like, however, but so yes, so certain things may happen. You may get your heart broken, or you may, quote unquote, lose this or not get this opportunity or whatever the case is. But what happened before? What were those experiences before? How did you feel about those things then? Right? So whether you are grieving or whether you are going through a heartbreak from a relationship, or maybe you are struggling financially, right? Don't cancel yourself out. Don't cancel yourself out. Don't write yourself off as there's no such thing as a happily ever after because this keeps happening and that keeps happening. No, right? And again, connecting back with yourself to see what is my happily ever after, right? Or maybe you're someone who's single, right? You don't have a husband. And I'm going to speak from a lady's perspective right now. So you have a banging ass job or career or business or whatever. You don't have a husband and you don't have any children, but yet like your parents are saying, when are you going to give me grandkids? Or the world is saying that you know, if you're successful, you should have this and you should have that. And now you feel like you're failing in life and that you're not going to have this happily ever after. But the happily ever after is not even fucking yours. It's not even yours. Maybe you are meant to be single, whether you're a male or a female, and you are meant to be single and have a thriving career and you are doing so well and you got money in the bank that now, guess what? Your path changes and you are backpacking through the fucking world, exploring different cultures and food and meeting, new people and having these experiences because yes, you didn't buy into somebody else's happily ever after and you lived your life and your experience and you bust your ass in your job or whatever the case is. And now you're just cruising through life. You're just cruising through life. Or maybe you're someone who doesn't have kids, but the world makes you feel like you're selfish and that you should be having kids. You know how many people who can't have kids and you have the ability to have kids and you're choosing not to have kids and making you feel some type of way. But you know what? Maybe your happily ever after is you not having kids, but maybe your happily ever after is actually you being a surrogate. You being the miracle for someone who can't have kids. You don't want kids of your own. And that is O-fucking-K. That is perfectly fine. But maybe that's your happily ever after. You giving that gift to someone else. Maybe that's what that is. Or again, maybe you have bust your ass, right? But people make you feel bad because you have so much money, right? You have all this money and here's all these people who don't have it, but you were ambitious and you were grinding and you stayed up late and you believed in yourself and you trusted in yourself, but people are making you feel bad and like, you're going to be miserable. You should be sharing that you should be having a family, but maybe once again, maybe you're the guy who your happily ever after is not ever after, I say that kind of fast, right? Is not having a family, but again, you bust your ass to where you're at. And now your path changes. And now you're opening up houses for the homeless, right? Because you put in all that hard fucking work. And people were like, oh, you're never going to have any joy or any love in your heart because all you do is work, 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 work. You don't have to buy into that bullshit. You don't have to buy into that story because your happily ever after is now you are on a whole other path and you are serving so many people. Serving so many people. Maybe your happily ever after is being married and having kids and having the amazing, job. Maybe that is your true happily ever after, but you can't see past it not being with a particular person. So because you are so caught up in saying that it has to be this person, but it's not working, so then I'm never going to have my happily ever after. And it's no, what are you resisting? Release that thing. What is it that you're resisting? Release, surrender, so you can have your happily ever after. You're responsible for where you were at. So spoiler alert, You're also responsible for where you're going. So we're going to go back to Derek and Meredith. So when we switch the perspective, right, and we look at Derek and we say, but Derek had his happily ever after. But then you're looking at it like you're Meredith, right? Again, it doesn't have to be romantic, whatever. And you're like, but Meredith didn't have her happily ever after. I didn't have my happily ever after because this particular thing happened. But what I want you to know is that happily ever after does happen. You have the power to create it. And guess what, guys? I want you to remember this. It's still unfolding. It's not over yet. Thanks for tuning in to #certified. If anything resonated with you, I would love to continue the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram at @itistisha. And if you want to be a part of the #certified tribe, you can join my Facebook group by going to the search tab and putting in #certified. My website is conversationswithtisha.com. As always, have a great one on purpose. Love you.